What is the fastest way to get kicked out of Cars and Coffee?
Drive a Honda. Like a Honda owner. I'm just saying that because you used to have one.
Dude, I still drive a Pilot.
Yeah.
I've actually taken that to a few Cars and Coffee myself because I had Canon with me, and I can't put him in the vet, unfortunately, because they didn't even put the car seat mounts until 2003, I believe, and I have a 2002, so that's a bummer.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just playing. It's probably like being loud, donuts, leaving trash, showing up drunk, being a dick.
Showing up drunk at Cars and Coffee
it's crazy.
It's
crazy.
Crazy. You need help. Like there's somebody there that's driving like a Lamborghini. They're probably a psychologist. Go talk to them.
Yeah. Go talk to Fraser Crane. He'll straighten you out.
Bruh.
Tighten up. Don't show up drunk.
That's nuts. And like, you know what though? Like, speaking of Cars and Coffee, there are a lot of them coming up, and I think the coolest car I feel like I've ever seen at a Cars and Coffee is the McLaren Speedtail. Have you ever seen one of those in person?
Yeah. I saw one at Concord Elegance in Phoenix, or Scottsdale rather, two years ago. Yeah,
that's an insane car.
Long cars.
Long,
absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. It's one of the prettiest cars I feel like I've ever seen in my life, and I'm a major fan of the McLaren 720S. I mean, I don't want to keep talking about McLarens, but like they make beautiful cars. I mean,
yeah,
we're not in the tax bracket of like Bugatti and Koenigsegg, but like if we were,
someday. Right?
I mean, I guess the Porsche 911 or the GT3
GT2s and GT3s are getting to be in the neighborhood of like pretty beat, Italian cars and another, super hyper cars, I guess.
They're gorgeous.
I would consider P cars, especially the GT series, to be supercars. I mean, they drive like them, they're built like them, but you see, Porsche. Everybody's mom drives a Macan. It seems like a normal people car, maybe middle upper class or whatever, but that's a supercar to me.
For sure. I mean, and we actually covered that in like the first episode we covered that Porsche is going to start making, or they had talked about moving some of their production here. We assume
for the sake of tariffs.
Yeah, for the sake of tariffs, and like we assume that they're probably going to be like the Macan because of the U.S. market. Everybody wants an SUV or like some type of crossover. So seems reasonable. I was actually like very surprised that they weren't already made here, but it is what it is.
It's finished here or something, for
the
tariffs, taxes, stuff like that.
Okay, and I got one more question for you. This is a funny one. So if your life depended on winning a street race, but you could only pick a car from a used car lot under $5,000, what are you showing up in, and how are you justifying this terrible decision?
Can it be modified, or is it like off the lot, you're driving it?
I think it's off the lot.
I'm going to go with a Focus ST, salvage title Focus ST.
Okay.
You could maybe find one, they're fast enough, pretty grippy. If you could find an RS, $5,000 beat up, sure. But
geez, how many miles does that have to have on it?
2.5 million. It's on its ass, man. It's been beat.
Dude, 100%. For sure. Okay. Well, you know what?
That'd be where I'm at, I guess.
That sounds like a good, I mean, that's right. I don't think you're going to land a RS, but a ST for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. At least with 200,000 miles. That sounds fair and reasonable. But you know what? Let's get into it. Hey, what up, fam? I'm Bryce. You're watching Torque, Tech, and Trade, where we cover cars, industry, technology, and straight vibes. Today, I got my buddy Tyrel with me. Introduce yourself. What's going on, man?
How's it going, guys? I'm Tyrel. I've known Bryce for a long time now, and cars are it for us. So
yes, sir. We used to drift through the streets of Chicago. Well, actually, he did, and I was along for the ride and scared Scared me, bro. But it was one of the best experiences I still have to this day. Like, who can say that? Like, we were on, what was that street? Cermak or whatever. Just
Yeah, yeah, the lower whacker, right?
lower
Right? On
whacker
the CSV.
cooking.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
beautiful. It was beautiful. That was a LS swapped 350. You did
Well,
that
that car,
yourself.
yeah. So there was an LS Swap 350Z. I normally was daily driving that first gen CTS-V there, which was an LS6 car,
Mm-hmm.
also a manual car, T56, which is the same transmission I ended up using in the 350s that I built. But yeah, the 350Z is great platform for drifting. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of pretty sought after. Only now being replaced by price coming down in the C5s and C6 Corvettes because you don't have to swap them. You just buy it, ankle kit, handbrake, seats, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I drive a C5 right now. It's not
Mhm.
ready to drift. I wouldn't start with that personally, because if I smack something, I'm not trying to replace that fiberglass. That'd be a
True,
pain.
true, true.
But you did mention the C6, and that is like one of the prettiest cars of all time. The
Oh,
car
yeah, they're
does not
gorgeous.
age.
They're
It
gorgeous.
it does
Timeless
not
car.
age. Um, but you know what? Speaking of cars that you've had, though, the 350 was an amazing machine. I love what you did with it, because it that was one of, like, I think one of my first experiences. I wouldn't say it like got me into the car scene in general, I guess, because you and I didn't really dip into the car scene in Chicago. It was really just us, or at least
Right.
interacting, right? Um, but that was like one of the most memorable moments for me.
Right.
But then again, when it comes to you specifically, I remember you called me one time and you wanted me to check out this F-150 on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were like, oh my goodness. You were like, come see this. You were like, yo, Bryce, come, or please check out this F-150 for me. Like, call this dude, set up a time, whatever. Okay. So I was like, all right, bet, I got you. You were like, if you like it, I trust your judgment. I'm going to go get it.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I go look at this F-150 dude. We meet in the parking lot, like right next to a McDonald's. And I'm getting in. Here's the first time I was ever in an F-150 Raptor. It's a beautiful car. What year is it?
It's a 2018. So it's the last year
2018.
before they did the live valve suspension, the orange and black shocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's 19 and 20. And then they stopped for a year. Well, I think they stopped for a year, but then they went to the Gen 3, which is the current body style, what they've got these days.
Yeah. So
2018.
I test drove the truck. And honestly, that experience alone. I know I can't remember when I did that. I think it was
It was
probably
February of 2024?
20. Nah, no way. It wasn't last
23.
year.
23. Yeah, it's
23?
23. Yeah.
Okay. Well, February of
Yeah.
2023. So that was two
That's when I
years
bought it at
ago.
least. So it may have been late January, something like that. But yeah, about 2 years ago now.
Yeah. And that was the experience that solidified my desire to get a truck. Like, I still don't have one. I'm still riding around in the Honda Pilot. It's paid off, but I'm trying
Yeah,
to knock
that's the
out
best
one of
kind of
those
car.
student loans from Columbia. And
Right.
when that's done, you're going to see me somewhere sexy in a Silverado or a F-150. I will not. Everybody knows. I've said it probably every episode so far. You will not see me in a Dodge Ram.
No shot.
You
No
will
shot.
not catch me in a Dodge Ram. I love you guys that drive them. If you like it, I love it. But for me, no, sir. No, sir.
Right.
But that leads me into this next topic. So F-150 or Ford is not releasing the next gen F-150 until, I think, 2028.
Okay.
And that is a longer cycle than what they have normally done, which has been an average of 5 to 6 years.
Yes.
I think there was one period where they may have went 7 years between, changing generations. However, this being 8, they're pushing it. I don't know why that is being the case, and I hope that that trend doesn't continue upward. I don't know if it has anything to do with like lingering effects from the pandemic, chip shortages, material shortages, whatever. But what are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so first off, chip shortage, that was a huge thing for a little while. They were shipping even Raptors and Raptor Rs, third gen Raptors and Raptor Rs without like heated steering wheels, without cooled seats, without the back seats being heated. Even if you bought the 802A package, which is you get everything.
Hmm.
Like my truck, even a 2018, for some reason it was optioned everything except for carbon fiber and the rear seated heated seats, excuse me. So sometimes you get a weird build. Some boomers like, I don't care about the kids, man. I don't
Hmm.
care if the back seats are heated. Take the $300 off the tag, whatever. And so they do that. But in the realm of like post COVID or up till now, I guess, yeah, post COVID stuff, everybody is, I want the best truck I can get. They go to a Raptor, they go to a Raptor R, and they're getting duped because they're showing up and this truck doesn't have a power column, or it doesn't have the heated seats in the back, or it doesn't have a heated steering wheel because they deleted that stuff. They've even gone so far to consider, and I'm not sure that they're going to do this, but hearsay, all that stuff on the internet, Reddit, etc., to delete the red leather stripe on the steering wheel, the centering stripe, the line.
Really? They went that far?
Yeah, so that may be happening. Who knows? It may not. I don't know, but I've heard about that. It could be a thing. But they definitely, chip shortage stuff did get rid of some features in the trucks for a while. I would say that we're past that now, but it's now at the point of they kept buying them. The customers kept buying them, even with the reduction in features. So why would we spend more money when we could charge the same amount of money for less stuff?
I
They might
mean,
keep doing that. Who
probably
knows?
more money because, like, I'm looking. I think I was looking at
Oh, dude, they're
a
so
Raptor.
expensive.
Yeah, it was like I think I saw it for like $148,000, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"What for a
Well above
pickup truck?"
sticker. Right, right.
I
You could be in a nice car for that much money.
It's
Really
reminding
nice
me
car.
of when the C8 Corvette came out,
Mm-hmm.
and that is
Yeah.
honestly, it's criminal.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really shouldn't be doing that. The truck is not, you know, it's not like it's got some custom suspension, that
Yeah, yeah. And
it's not like
Raptors, man.
a rock crawler or anything like that. So,
Right, right. As someone who has been a part of a Baja race team, we've done the snore and score stuff, King of the Hammers, stuff like that. Raptors, they're sold as like, take this to the desert, jump it. It's an off-road truck. It can handle anything. It's a big deal, big man truck, whatever. It's not. It's really not. It's wider and it
hmm
has better suspension for off-roading at moderate speeds. It's not a Jeep where you're going to be really loving it because it's a short wheelbase and it's solid axles in the front and rear. So it's great for like slow, technical rock fields and stuff like that. It's not that kind of truck. It's also not actually a pre runner. A lot of people buy one and they think, I can go jump this in the desert and drive it home. No shot. No shot. To get a Raptor, much less an F-150, and you might as well, by the way, start with an F-150 if you're going to do all this stuff because you're wasting all the stuff that the Raptor comes with. The Raptor frames historically have been gusseted in strategic places to help with the shear load when you're jumping it. So they don't flex as much, but you reach a critical limit. Excuse me. Sorry, been a long day. Where you're going to damage the frame unless you further reinforce it. You're going to outdrive the suspension. The steering rack is absolute trash for high speed off roading, especially if you get north of the 35-inch tires that come on these trucks. The base model F-150, if you go buy like a 5.0, get an XLT. It's 32 grand or something. Go get this year's XLT. Short bed XLT. It's a one-piece drive shaft. The 6.5-foot beds have two-piece drive shafts typically. And so carrier bearing, which like the BMW world, and we'll talk about that later. But the BMW world, the E36s and E28s, E30s, E46s, all that had a two-piece drive shaft with a guibo. It's like a bushing that holds the drive shaft so it can pivot in the middle of the car. Some German engineering, we're going to overthink this and make it as nice as possible. They wear out. So same thing with the long bed F-150s. They wear out. They make noise. They clunk. They fall off. You don't want to jump your truck and yeet Bluetooth drive shaft. That's the last thing I need. So go get yourself a base model
Bluetooth drive
F-150.
shaft.
Yeah, 100%. You're like, I got a front wheel drive truck now. Sweet. How am I going to get back to camp? So go get yourself a base model F-150. Do long travel, like cut the back end off, link it, do fiberglass, do 39s, do a cage. You need to put like some PRPs in it, some nice seats, do a rugged radios system in there, something like that. And then you'll have a pre-runner that's going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to $100,000 and significantly outperform a Raptor or a Raptor R, especially if you get the 5.0 and you supercharge it or turbocharge it or whatever. You're probably not going to run Baja 1000 in it because you're going to get dirt in there and it's going to fall apart. But you can go have some fun for half the price.
For
Why
sure.
not?
And you know what? Like, that's probably extremely like, that's a huge insight for a lot of people listening to this, especially me, right? I mean, there are a lot of things about trucks that I don't know, and
Sure.
you know way more than me. And the way you just broke that down, for somebody that's like, okay, well, how do I even get into mudding or just
Sure.
anything off road? You're totally a reference for something like that because, like you've done, maybe you haven't done like all of that in your F-150, but you've spent a solid amount of time off road in that truck.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, out in the mountains, absolutely.
yeah. And you mentioned like, well, you said like, you're not going to make it back to camp. What's I think camping is probably one of your favorite things to do with that truck. So
Definitely.
can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. You can see I've got the back seats of the truck right here. So I keep a sleeping platform in the back. My dog lays on it. We go off roading, have a great time. We can just camp out in the truck. You don't have to set a tent up. There's no rooftop tent to raise your center of gravity. And it's cheap. It cost me one sheet of plywood, and I bought a piece of foam, and I covered it with some sheets and a blanket or whatever. Throw a couple pillows in there. You're chilling. Getting back to camp is hugely important. If you're out by yourself, you don't have a couple spare tires, you don't have a jack, you don't have tools, you don't have stuff to keep you warm, to keep you hydrated, keep you fed, you're smoked. It's game over. Even if I've got cell service because like I might go out maybe this weekend. There's still snow on the ground here in Denver. So if I get out to, let's say, Yankee Hill, I get up to the top of it where I'm lucky to have made it up there in my pretty stock Raptor. It's going to take a really serious recovery rig to come and get my truck if it breaks up there. So I have to be able to fix it. Typically, you'll want to keep the typical recovery stuff like a winch, snatch blocks, some ropes, even a kinetic rope, which you can kind of yank on instead of just pulling it. You let slack into it and then you yank on it and it yanks the truck forward. So it builds pressure inside of it and goes with it. So stuff like that is great. Obviously, spare wheel and tire combos. So I keep one in the truck all the time. It's a matching wheel and then a matching tire. And I use that in my rotation so that I also get a little bit more life out of the tires as I rotate. But it's important to keep food and water. You got to be able to stay warm, stay fed, stay hydrated because you're going to burn a lot of calories if it's cold. If it's super hot, water's the big thing. Electrolytes and water. Shelter, keep yourself out of the sun, stuff like that. And hey, baby. And come on, come say hi. Hello, honey.
What's the dog's name?
Her name is Carbon, like carbon fiber.
Carbon. Nice. Hi, Carbon.
Yeah. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. That's a good girl. It's a good girl. So, yeah, being able to self-recover or self-rescue is hugely important in the off-roading community, and a lot of people overlook it. They buy a Jeep or they buy an F-150 and they do the rooftop tent and the recovery ramps, like the boards or whatever. They've got their stove and their espresso machine and they're really awesome.
Yeah, like those ASMR YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you get too far down that road and you don't know how to drive, you're going to get stuck and have to use that stuff.
But those guys aren't really going like way off the beaten path. Like it's
a dirt road.
Yeah.
They still got cell service so they can upload their video tonight.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, like they can see the highway from their vantage point.
100%. And I'm sorry if I'm getting too off in the weeds.
No, you're good.
But basically, yeah, F-150s, great, low entry cost. It's been America's best-selling truck for like 40-something years, maybe 43, 48 years, something like that. They're ubiquitous. You can get one cheap. The last truck I had was a 2015 F-150 with that 3.5 EcoBoost, same motor, essentially. A little bit of a difference, but same motor that's in the Raptor that I've got now. I had some Fox 3.0s on it, upgraded upper control arms with like uniballs because of the articulation angles being a little severe. I only ever had to do brakes, tires, and front wheel bearings, and I had it for 130,000 miles or something. So pretty low cost of ownership. They're very reliable vehicles. Pretty feature packed at the price point as well. Like you mentioned Dodge earlier.
Yeah.
I can get into a 502A Lariat F-150 with the EcoBoost, short bed, heated rear seats, heated and cooled front seats, heated steering wheel, adaptive cruise control, CarPlay, all the stuff you want. The mirrors fold in when you lock it, blah blah blah. All that stuff for like 20 grand.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of that on Facebook Marketplace. Like
Exactly.
my wife hates it because I look every day. Like she was yelling at me earlier today. She was like, "If you're
No, me
just,"
too.
she was,
I'm
yeah,
guilty of it.
she was like, "If you're gonna buy something, just go ahead and buy it." Like there's this 2015 Chevy Silverado that is like 10 minutes from my house. It's going for like 22, and it looks good.
This is my Facebook right now. My marketplace is just Raptors.
Yeah,
Left and right, just Raptors.
And to be honest, like after driving yours and seeing how you've like lived with it and stuff like that over the years, like honestly, you're the reason why like I've even looked in Ford's direction. I'm not necessarily married to getting a Raptor like specifically, but I know for a fact if I'm not going to get a Raptor, I want the 5.0. And
I do wish the Raptor came with the 5.0 because as a fabricator, I would instantly have twin turbos on this. No question. I would have boosted it the day I brought it home.
It's so funny.
I would have. Because like,
how long of a drive was that? I can't remember.
Shoot, man, neighborhood of like 15 hours or something. I would have come home, slept, woken up, and tore it apart.
Oh my goodness.
100% I would have done it.
I believe you too.
And that's my plan when I buy a C5 or C6, and I'm really leaning C5 because Irv over at KBD Body Kits has got a really nice kit for the C5 vets. I really prefer the Gen 4 LS motors because of the mass airflow sensor being a card and not a screen. So they don't obstruct as easy, and they read a little bit more accurately. They also have a 58-tooth reluctor wheel instead of a 24-tooth reluctor wheel. So tuning it is a lot... it's not easier because it's the same kind of deal, but the bottom line is you get more resolution in the tune. So you can accurately and precisely manage your fuel and your air way, way, way better in a Gen 4 motor versus a Gen 3 motor. So a C5, it's style, man. The interior, let's be honest, kind of trash. But they're great cars.
They're
still, like, the chassis, very similar. In fact, for angle kits, the C5 and C6, same parts from WiseFab, from FDF, from PBM, from whoever else makes them. It's all the same stuff. So coilovers, same thing. Angle kit, same thing. You get the same tie rods. You can do the same wheel bearings to swap them to 5x114 so that you can run hot boy wheels instead of the nasty like plus 99 offset big joints that are on there right now. So they're both really phenomenal candidates. But as soon as I buy a C5 or C6 Corvette, it's going to come into my garage. I'm going to blow it apart. I'm going to buy coilovers, angle kit, seats, probably cage it. Go ahead, put the handbrake in it. It's going to be done. Like hot boy wheels, wide body, wrap it or paint it, whatever.
And you're going to race, right?
100%. I'm gonna get back into drifting with that car because I haven't drifted since 2020. So I broke my leg, and I ended up parting out my 350Z, the fourth or fifth one I had.
I remember that. That was a sad day, even for me.
Yeah. No, I've had two more since then. So I bought one that needed some work, and I bought it to drive it for a summer and then sell it. Ended up having it for like 2 weeks, and I sold it. Made a couple grand or whatever. Not a huge win or whatever, but I had to like retime the motor and put a water pump on it or something like that. But
well, that's cool, man.
I love that chassis. But,
I would love for you to join the club, join the C5 club. You remember David, my buddy I introduced you to when you came up here? He also just bought a C5. So that's awesome. Man, like his is actually boosted. I have the only one. Mine is NA. It is cammed, 420 at the wheel, but his is boosted, and No, I'm not going to
Well,
race him because that'll be a waste of my time. But
I tell you what, I've got a tote in my shop right now that's got 5 or 6 sets of pistons and rods for 6.2s. So the LS3, it's stock stroke and stock bore, but we could find you a bare block. We could build you an LS3, put it in there. Don't tell them, but put it in there, and
I would love an
I'll
LS3.
fly out. I'll put you a turbo on it. I can weld pretty good. You know, like I said, Baja race team, all that stuff. I didn't tell you about this, but for a week I was out at Kindig, Kindig, which is out in Salt Lake. They build really, really beautiful cars, like $1 to $5 million cars in that ballpark. I had met the owner's daughter and her husband at a wedding. I got to talking about cars with them, and they were like, "Hey, we would love to have you come out, check it out, see if you like the place." I ended up getting a job offer, and because of this gal that I've been seeing, my girlfriend, I could not leave her behind. I love where I'm at. I love the mountains. Like we were talking about camping and all that stuff. I got to stay here. I feel led to be here. It's where I belong right now. So I had to say no to it. But they had me doing some fabrication and welding on some of their cars. Like Kevin Hart's car was out there.
Wow.
You know, one of the nicest cars I've ever seen. You know, there's some beautiful cars out there, and so I could weld something up for you.
What was he driving? Just wondering.
I think it was a let me Google. It was like a 1,200 horsepower Charger or Challenger or something.
Oh my goodness. Can he handle all of that?
Yeah, it's it's called Bane. So it is a 70s Challenger. It's 1970s specifically. So Dave and the gang built it for him. It unveiled at SEMA in 2023. The car was crazy, man. It had just left the shop when I got there, and we were pretty stoked. I mean, beautiful, beautiful. I don't know if this will even focus on it, but
Probably not. Oh, there it is.
you go.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks
it's handsome.
good. That looks good.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I've seen that. I think I've seen that
So
before.
they
Yeah.
got a TV show called Bitch and Rides. It was on Motor Trend or something, and then they got picked up by Discovery. So it's been on Discovery for a while now. Really beautiful cars. Check them out sometime. Dave, Kevin, and all those guys, really great people. Bailey as well, their daughter, Dave's daughter. Super cool people, man. Beautiful cars, like really, really at the bleeding edge of what a classic car with a modern flavor and comforts could be. Really cool stuff. But yeah, sorry, we're off on a tangent again. I apologize.
No,
Got
you're good.
the
You're good.
ADHD.
Well, here, let's switch topics. So,
Mhm.
we both saw that Jeep, specifically, I think to start
Yeah.
for out of,
Oh, yeah.
all of Stellantis brands,
Mhm.
Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, whatever.
Right.
They have started to show ads on the infotainment system on their cars, the newer cars specifically. It only comes up when you stop, but I promise that has to be so annoying that I would want to return. I would be like, okay,
Yeah, I'd take
I
some
would
back.
be, I'd be reading the contract
100%.
for my point of sale and be like, yeah, I got to return this car, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's like somebody that's like, I mean, okay, cars already cost enough, right? So in this analogy, right, you're paying
Yeah.
YouTube Premium and you're still getting
Right.
the ads whenever you pause a video. It's like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the?
100%.
No, I didn't ask for that. And that
Yeah.
all these microtransactions that these car manufacturers are putting out are honestly ridiculous. Ridiculous. You already built the car the way you did. You as a company, you spent money to give me the parts.
Mhm.
Now you're making me spend money in order to enable the parts, which kind of sucks because I don't want my car to constantly be connected to the internet. Like the only time I need it to be connected to the internet is when I plug my phone up and I need navigation on the screen right there.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I don't need Big Brother's hand or like the manufacturer's hand reaching into my dashboard saying, no, bro, you're broke. You didn't pay enough. You didn't pay that $9.99 per month to warm you up in the wintertime. When they know I woke up this morning, it was 7 degrees. Like, give me a break.
Right.
I would have been on my phone paying that $10 like, I need that.
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree with that. I thought it was really bothersome that BMW did that with the seat heaters, and now that Stellantis is saying, hey, every time you stop, you can't change the song. Sorry, you can't look at your navigation.
Hmm.
Too bad. Too bad. Pay us more. If I'm buying, I mean, what does a Jeep Wrangler cost? Like a nice Wrangler. What's a J?
30,000.
It's a they're at the JL, so JLU Rubicon MSRP. Are they at the JLs? Are they past that? I don't know. Anyway, 2024 Wrangler Rubicon, $49,000. MSRP 72,700. That's a
If I pay
used one.
49 that you used, right? If
I
I
paid
pay,
$73,000 for a Jeep, and it
mm-mm.
pops up and says Coco Melon on my Google Maps or whatever. I'm pissed. I'm
Imagine,
tight.
I mean, imagine
I'm
you
gonna be so tight
looking,
about that.
imagine you shop like, shop in the market for some ED pills, and you
Right.
got you
He's
got
over here looking for the Rhino
you got
pills
a
and
you got a
that's
coworker in the
crazy.
car with you, and that pops up every time
Oh,
you hit a
and the
stoplight,
Target ad comes on. That's
bruh.
crazy.
Right,
Yeah,
they're
speed
targeting
running
you,
HR.
or you're
Yeah.
getting ads based on like where you're at. So I don't know, like you go to you're in Miami and you start getting ads for like, I don't know, a nightclub or something. I
Right.
don't know
Like I'm
why
on
I
the
chose
phone with my
Miami, but
wife or something, and I'm like, I'm on a work trip or whatever. They gave me a Grand Cherokee, and all of a sudden it's popping up like, do you want to come to the nightclub that's across the street tonight? And I'm like, honey, I'm gonna have to call you back. I have to disable this ad before I can talk to you more.
hmm.
Like, what is that?
So that was the thing that like people
Insane.
were trying
That
to
made me
figure
miserable.
out how to disable it, and it turns out that there I don't even know if there's a pay, like I don't even know if there is a subscription tier that you would pay to turn that off. Like
Right. Right.
I mean from what I was reading, I didn't see that. I just saw that consumers were trying to turn it off and there wasn't a specific lane or direction for turning that off yet. Um
Yeah. Yeah. I
and
wonder
that
how
and
long
that
it is until we
sucks.
get to the point where we're jailbreaking our cars.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I mean, what?
like I
Yeah, yeah. You
I
buy that
couldn't
little
imagine.
thing, plug it
Yeah,
up under the
exactly.
dash, and it's
There's got to be a way, Can you tune your car and get rid of that? Like I've used Forescan, which is a program from some like Russian dude.
mm-hmm,
So Lincolns, when you lock them, the mirrors automatically fold.
mm-hmm,
Fords don't until 2023 or something, 2022, when the third gen Raptor came out. It wasn't standard on the higher trim vehicles, even if they had power fold mirrors. So you can enable in the as built data with this program, which is free, with a 2 week free trial or whatever, just like WinZip or whatever when we were kids. You can make it do that. You can change how your headlights work. You can change the amount of like blinks in your half depression of the turn signal stalk. You can change a lot of things about it. You change the splash screen when it turns on the vehicle, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder if there's going to be a program like that for the Dodge stuff, for the Jeeps and the Daimler stuff. I guess it's not Daimler anymore, the Stellantis stuff. And so somebody's eventually going to jailbreak these things. Like
Well,
I'd be
I
sick,
saw something
or they're
once
going to quit
where,
buying it.
well,
Like
yeah, yeah,
those are
yeah,
your
like
options. Like
that'll be a huge turnoff, especially if like the manufacturer was just going to prioritize the ad money coming in from that, because
yeah,
I'm sure it's
yeah,
abundant, right? But I saw a
right.
device, I can't remember now because this was years ago. I
Hmm.
guarantee you this company probably got sued. But I was served an ad one time that was showcasing like a device that you plug in as like a USB, right? Like directly
Really?
into your car, and
Huh.
it makes it so that it turns off like the safety features or whatever while you're driving, so you can watch Netflix, you can watch YouTube, you
Yeah,
can
yeah. So
you've
a lot
seen
of
that
people do
too.
that. Yeah, yeah. So in the F-150s and most of the Ford vehicles, they have a larger infotainment screen. It's not huge. The new ones are huge.
Hmm.
They're
It's like a
literally this
10,
big.
10, 12 inch.
They're like
Yeah.
iPad sized,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
huge. So you can get this dongle thing that you have wireless CarPlay once you plug it in. You get wireless CarPlay, and then on top of that, you can watch YouTube while you're in motion. You can watch Netflix. You can stream whatever from your phone to it and see it on the screen. It's great if I'm camping. It'd be nice to be able to watch like, you know, Stranger Things or Severance or whatever. You know, if I'm looking to kill some time, watch a show, wait for the sun to get to sunset so I can take some pictures of it and start a fire, then sure. But driving, that's crazy. I
It's
do know
crazy.
some people that have used iPads or their phones on road trips as passengers, but as a driver, no shot. No shot, dude. Would I be watching, you know, Grey's Anatomy at 90 miles an hour, allegedly, at 90 miles an hour on the interstate somewhere? Like, no shot. No way.
Yeah, no, no.
And so that there's definitely, you know, stuff that can do that. And then even deeper than that's like plug it into your OBD port. There's got to be something that disables those ads or somebody that can, you know, basically you just would have to fool the car into thinking it's not stopping.
Yeah.
So if it never stops, it never shows the ad, and that's all you'd have to do, I guess.
But speaking of like,
know.
you know, Netflix and YouTube and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Given that Tesla has already, you know, made that part of the base system of their car, like when you're not in motion, you're charging or doing whatever you're doing, you can sit there and watch a show. It's especially with like all these screens getting larger and larger in these cars, it makes no sense to me that Apple hasn't enabled this feature in Apple CarPlay, because at this point it's not like they can't do it, it's just a matter of software.
They choose not to.
Yeah, they're missing money. They're missing out on money. I mean, I don't know if that would raise, you know, the cost of these cars. It honestly shouldn't. But
no, it's a software thing. It should just be some development or, you know, telling it yes you can instead of no, not at all because it's CarPlay. Or
it's probably some legal reason, but
probably
they don't want it hacked. You know, we've been jailbreaking iPhones since LimeWire, so you know.
Right.
But okay, so let's transition into this last topic. For anybody watching, if you saw the first episode of T3P, you know that I was not a fan of Honda merging with Nissan. Right. Now, Nissan has, I don't know which direction it went. I don't know if Nissan dropped out or if Honda pulled away. Regardless, the merger is not happening. So we're going to give a very small round of applause right there because I did not want Honda to diminish themselves like that. What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? That's like who just won the Super Bowl? The Eagles. That's like the Eagles being, and you know, I love the Colts. Okay. I'm from Indianapolis. I love the Colts, but they suck. And that's like the Eagles being like, hey, we're going to merge our teams and we're going to take some of your starters and put them on our team, even though we just won the Super Bowl. That sounds like a great idea. No, nobody's ever said that. And Honda is, I don't want to say the GOAT, right? Obviously, Toyota is much larger, but their cars are always going to be compared
you've been a Honda boy
one-to-one.
since day one, though.
I mean, yeah.
You know.
Okay, I'm going to be real with you. The only reason why I haven't bought a Toyota is because I used to hate with a passion that infotainment screen with those.
He gets in close.
Yes. Yes, hate, bro. Those like do you remember when this is like
yeah, it was bad, dude.
They had those super thick bezels. They just would not change it. It was like but Toyota does that though. They will stay on something for so freaking long, and then finally they'll
how long was the RAV4? Not the RAV4, the 4Runner. That was the same chassis from like early 2000s until 2 or 3 years ago. Might even still be the same chassis.
Right.
Same thing with the Tacoma. Until last year, it still had drum brakes in the back.
That's insane.
Until last year,
That's
bro.
insane.
That's insane.
And I don't even know how they got away with that with all of the safety standards that there are today.
Yeah, it's questionable for sure. The thing about Honda and Nissan, so like, number one, Honda, huge motorsport and racing heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wonderful. They're up there with Mazda and the 787B, stuff like that. Like really beautiful cars. They've been a part of F1 for a long time.
All right.
They are the quintessential, like if I think JDM, I'm thinking of an EG hatch or something.
Right.
Slant.
That's what I was just saying in another episode that like the Civic is fundamental to the car scene. It is.
It's the best way with a low price of admission to become an enthusiast.
And Toyota doesn't have a car like that, I don't think. What is there? The Corolla? Maybe, but nobody's thinking like, oh yeah, let me boost a Corolla unless you're going to go buy the GR and
Right.
do something like
Right.
that. But you're not just going to take a
But then
base
that's
model
25,
and
30 grand. You could go get like in the Toyota land, you could do like a Mark III Supra. They're not super expensive. Mark IVs, obviously, six
yeah,
figure
but
cars
that's a
now for
I
some
mean
reason.
that's a different group of car. Like when they
Yeah,
bunch
that's
those cars
older.
together, you're putting the Supra with you said Mazda, so you're putting the Supra with the RX-7, you're putting it with the
Right.
GTR, and when it comes to Honda, you're gonna throw the NSX in that group, even though it's slow. But like
Right.
you're
But they're
still
beautiful.
it's the most in my opinion
They are
out of those cars.
the most
Yes,
beautiful car, hands
yes,
down.
yes.
I would
Like
much rather have like a 98 NSX
yes.
in like some beautiful dark green
Oh
with
my
some
god,
white
emerald green
TEs.
with like some gold
Some white
metallic flake.
TEs. Oh, there you go. Some gold
Woo!
TEs. Game over.
Mm-hmm.
Bronze TEs on the dark green. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Game over. I'm done.
There's nothing else you got to
Honda
do.
knows what they're doing. They really know what they're doing. Their engines, especially with VTEC, as bad as it sounds to me, and as someone who's owned like a half a dozen VQ motors, I know what bad sounds like. They sound bad. VTEC sounds like trash, just like a VQ sounds horrible. They sound like trombones, man. I don't like the 350Z motors, man. They're junk. But yeah, man, Honda. I don't know what they were looking to do here, except for maybe absorbing Nissan. I did some research, and basically, Honda originally proposed making Nissan a subsidiary, excuse me, but Nissan kind of wanted it to be like a partnership. So it'd
Mm-hmm.
be hyphenated,
Yeah, they were trying to bring
you get
themselves up.
divorced and then you marry again and you got the two last names or
Right,
something.
right.
But they Honda, they wanted to do it, but the CEO of Nissan was requested to step down from Honda. Honda said like, "Hey, if this guy leaves, we'll keep talking about it." For some reason, they didn't like the guy. Um, but
You
they
talking about
did,
the CEO of Nissan was? Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
though? You know
So,
they've had how many
oh, tons.
leadership changes in the last 10 years?
They've had a few. They've had a few.
So
Nissan. So the 370. It's been the same car since what '09 when it came out or whatever.
hmm
The Z was '03 to '08 in Japan, '02 and a half to '08.
and now the
So
400's not really selling like that, even though it's
I've seen
beautiful.
I've seen two of them
Yeah, you
in
don't
person.
see it.
I saw
And
one
I
at
remember.
Barrett Jackson, and the other one
hmm
I saw like in traffic 2 weeks ago.
Right.
You don't
I
see
actually
them.
saw
They're
one last week
expensive.
too, and I
For
remember
that
that.
price point, you can get a C6.
Right.
Why would I buy a 400Z?
Well,
Nah, I'm
exactly.
good. I'm
Exactly.
good.
I mean, and it's I think they tried to do the same thing that uh Infinity did with like the motor that's in the Q50 and the Q60, where
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's the 3 liter, what is it,
Yeah, it's a V6 with twins on
VEDETT,
it.
yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the baby Godzilla supposedly, but like it doesn't
Right.
have the transmission, so
Yeah.
it's just it's not as durable as the 3.8. But in this case, they put that same motor in the 400Z, gave
hmm
it a manual, which is what they should have done on the Q60. Like it made no sense why they didn't. But anyway, they gave it a manual and it wasn't selling. And I don't know if it's because that platform was the drivetrain platform was already on the market or what it was. But I remember when they announced that car, people were like, there were people saying that they had a whole bunch of pre-orders and all this other stuff because Nissan's under new management and like now they're gonna
hmm
come back
hmm
and Nissan's gonna start stepping it up. They're listening to the consumer and XYZ, all this BS, and then
Yeah.
what?
Now I've seen two of them
You
in
don't see
person.
them. You see them nowhere. And then when you do see it, it feels like a treat. But like even when you go to Cars and Coffee, they're not there. They are
Right.
not there.
Enthusiasts are not buying them. I will say though, so I just asked Chat GPT, the base model, the Sport, $43,000 MSRP.
Is
You could
wait.
get a C6 Z06 for that much money
Oh yeah, and you'd have way
all
more
day.
fun.
The Nismo 400Z MSRP is 65,750.
Mm-mm.
So for
Nobody's gonna pay
$66,000,
that.
no,
Nobody's
dude, you could
paying that.
go get yourself. So I got a friend, Logan Sanders, good friend of mine. He's got an R34. He's got an old Mustang that was his father's car. Big Porsche guy. He's dude. He's got like 5 or 6 cars in his garage right now. He's one of those people like little house, giant garage, and it's
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Him and his wife, huge dirt bike people. His wife is a really accomplished flat track racer, one of the fastest. Sandriana is an awesome person. Actually, they fostered my dog before I got her. So small world. But anyway, he had like a Cayman S or something.
Mm-hmm.
6-speed manual or 7-speed, whatever they come with. It was like a 2015 or something like that. He bought it with 30,000 miles on it for $48,000. I'd much rather drive that than this.
Oh, for sure.
No shot I'm driving a
the
Nissan where I
thing,
could drive a German car.
the thing,
I'm good.
the thing that doesn't make sense though is that Nissan tried to sell this to us as if it was brand new. And the
Not the same car.
It's the Q50 and the Q60 are too good looking. Like it's not like
They're nice
it's
sedans.
not like they're ugly
nice
cars.
sedans and coupes or whatever.
The Q60 is a beautiful car. You drop it, you
handsome.
throw some wheels on there, and you're gonna get the same amount of power. I don't know how much difference in terms of reaching the speed you want the transmission's going to make.
The chassis may be a little bit different. The weight distribution may be a little bit different, but it boils down to it is a 370Z with weird taillights and a Q50 motor in it.
And the taillights came from what? The 300ZX?
Basically.
Isn't that where they're inspired from? Yeah. So
it's like a 370Z A and B pillar, like a kind of weird. I don't know. The headlights are just weird.
Look,
I don't love the car, but that's just me.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't like the way it looks. I think honestly, if I'm being candid, I think it's a nice looking car, but financially, it's a bad decision. And
100%. They didn't need to do that.
That and the fact that motor is incredibly difficult to work on. It's not like the 3.8. It's extremely difficult to work on, and if they've made it. If the platform is anywhere similar to, like I keep mentioning, the Q50 or Q60, there is no space. I mean, that engine bay is watertight. So it's
just full.
Yeah. And that is going to turn off a lot of enthusiasts. It's probably going to cost way too much to modify the machine. There's this one girl I follow on Instagram. Her name is Amelia. I think she's modifying a 400Z. I think she's taking the 3.8 out of a GTR and putting it in the 400.
Yeah, that's what should have been there in the beginning. If you sold that car for $55,000 and it had the 3.8 in it and it was quick, it was all-wheel drive even, would be great. You sell one rear-wheel drive for $55,000, you sell an all-wheel drive for $62,000, $63,000, done. People would have bought it. Mm-hmm. Because it's a GTR without back seats.
You should go apply at Nissan. They need your help.
Need that. They do. They also obviously some financial challenges. The merger was going to be a good thing financially for Nissan, and for Honda would have gotten rid of a lot of competition because a lot of people back in the day were between, do I buy a 240 or do I buy an EG hatch? What do I do? Now they're both expensive.
But the thing is, when it announced that they were dropping out of the merger, Nissan stock share or their value in the stock market dropped $78 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see. I mean, my thing is Nissan, in my opinion, has already been going out of the door for a long time now. As a company, I don't see what they're doing. I don't see them bringing out any new cars. I no longer see them being innovative. Like they may do something. No. So really and to me, they're kind of like Subaru. Like what is Subaru doing? You know what I mean? Like Subaru's kind of just like
they're selling cars to people in Utah and Denver. That's it.
Right. And it's like, hey guys, we still make cars. Like we got these commercials going all the time, but our cars look the exact same as they did in 2010. Why?
Yeah.
Because we don't have to change them. Probably because we're owned by Toyota and Toyota doesn't like to make changes. And it's like, okay,
that's true. That's true.
That's the position they want to be in. Fine. But no, I agree. I mean, at this point, it's really just going to be Honda and Toyota. And I really hope Honda steps up to the plate and starts being more proactive. Like I've been calling for Honda to make a real pickup truck for some time now. There's no reason why they don't. Nissan did it.
Could.
Toyota did it. Why are you not doing it? Subaru, fine. Leave them out of the conversation.
Well, they had the Baja though, which was sick. They had that Baja, and Mazda had the B2000, which was a Ford Ranger just rebranded, which pretty good truck. Mm-hmm. Everybody likes a Ford Ranger, you know. So, but the Subaru Baja, that's cool. It was an Outback basically with a truck bed. It was pretty cool. Super rare car. I see like one every 4 or 5 months out here in Colorado. There's a couple old ladies that got them. You know, their husbands bought them for, well, we got to move our ficas to this way or the whatever, or get our, you know, our new cactus or our new succulents home from the market. And, you know, so you got to do that stuff. But it's, yeah, a pickup truck from Honda, a real one would be nice. Something with frame rails, you know, not a unibody pickup truck.
SUV with a
Also, seeing Honda get into the rear wheel drive world would be nice. If they would have made a Prelude rear wheel drive, the S2000 would not need to exist. Maybe a hot take. I don't know. But
I mean,
that S2000s are sick.
it's a hot.
But I don't like convertibles.
It's a hot take.
The Prelude being rear wheel drive would have made the 240SX not be a popular car. Think about it.
The 240 did the 240SX turn into the Sylvia? Is that the same car?
The 180, the 240, S13, 14, 15. The S12 was similar, the Sylvia as well, but the 240
like S13 and up. That's what I'm referencing.
Yeah, so S13, 14, 15. The Prelude. Oh my goodness.
It's a beautiful car. It's a beautiful car, but I have to disagree that the S13 and up wouldn't have existed. Those are also gorgeous machine. I mean, Japan was in its bag in the 90s and early 2000s. Like, what?
That's true.
Everything was made with like perfect. I mean, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know what Subaru was doing around that time, but like, I don't know,
man. Like a late 90s Forester, a late 90s green Forester, bagged.
And I'm not a bag boy. Nice. But I want to be. Like, I want to be a bag boy, but I'm not a bag boy.
It's a little bit more maintenance and risk when you're daily driving it, but to be able to just air out and be like,
bruh,
to
hear that,
it's nice, man. It's yeah.
That
you roll up to the gas station. You get out to get gas.
What? I know. I got a buddy. He's got a bagged VW GTI, and I love every time it's like
cool,
what?
Man. I mean, deep down, we're all just kids. We're playing Legos, but we can drive them. That's what we are as car people. So
that's a great way to put it.
I mean, that's what it is. Like we want to modify stuff, to personalize it and make it our own. It's just like putting stickers on your skateboard when you were 6 years old or whatever.
Right.
Or like, you know, drawing on your notebook cover or whatever in school. It's something to personalize, to be an extension of you, who you are artistically, and show it to the world. Like if I got a 350Z and I bagged it and I put it on wheels, the same, you know, weds or whatever that everybody else has done, nice 3-piece wheel, triple chrome or some weird stuff. That's what everybody else has done. It's cookie cutter. It's been done before, but if I like it, it's my way.
And that's
some people don't agree with it. Some people do. I think it looks cool, man. I like the Euroline DH wheel. I think it's a super ugly wheel that looks great on 350Zs and terrible on everything else.
Yeah.
But personalizing a vehicle, it's just like accessorizing your clothing. Like anybody could, you know, you put regular Joe and then some dude that knows his stuff in the same suit. And one guy's going to accessorize it by like maybe opening up the shirt a little bit more, or maybe he'll wear the pants a little bit higher, or choose a different sock with it or whatever. Accessorizing it is more important, like the attention
individualism.
To detail. And exactly. So anybody could buy the parts and build a car, but finding somebody that personalizes it and makes it their own.
That's why like for me, I feel like the car scene goes beyond just the stock. Like, or no, sorry, I got distracted. The car scene goes beyond the performance part of like that world, right? You have to aesthetics make the whole deal, right? You can have 4 silver Civic SIs like the one I had roll off the lot. right? But mine ended up looking the way it looked because I modified it and I made it how I wanted it to be. So that way, when I pull up, you know which car is mine, and it's not looking like that over there. Like, we're not a race team.
Right.
I don't need to look exactly like you. I want to look like me. Right. I'm trying.
We don't have the same matching Marlboro liveries or whatever.
Right. I'm trying to be.
It's about individualism.
Right. I'm trying to be at the car meet or like whatever street race, whatever. And I'm trying to stick my arms out like Vin Diesel, allegedly. I'm trying to stick my arms out like Vin Diesel and be like, this is Brazil. And then, you know what I mean? Like, this is my car, bro. Like, you know, when I pull up, it is a Bryce Thompson machine. It looks like something I would drive. The same way when 100%. You pull up, it looks like something Tyrel would drive. And I have to close it here because this is a great place to end it. Be who you want to be. The car is yours. Do not care about anybody else's opinion. Do not.
Facts.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. This is a much longer episode than normal, but I appreciate you sticking with us. If you haven't already, please subscribe, smash that like button, and smack that notification bell loud enough for your mom to hear it. If you're listening on Spotify, please give us a follow. We're also available on Apple Podcasts. But for now, we'll see you next time. Peace.